Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We are just admitting a few people and then we will start. I'm just going to give them probably 2 to 3 minutes and then we can start with our program. So just be patient with us. Thanks. Alrighty then, I think we can start considering the fact that it is 6:05. I think I've given everybody a chance, but a few people might join us on the way. But in any case, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to tonight's JCCI Youth Commission webinar. My name is Tando Mangisa, and it is really my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this evening on behalf of the JCCI Youth Commission. We are incredibly excited to have you joining us for what we promise to be a very insightful conversation around doing business with China, understanding business strategies, and most importantly, developing cultural intelligence required to building meaningful relationships, especially those that are international. For those that are joining us for the first time, the JCCI Youth Commission focuses on creating opportunities for young people to engage, connect, learn, participate, especially in meaningful business environments. We believe that young people cannot simply be observers in this global economy, but we need to be active and participate in it. Our work as the JCCI Youth Commission is really centered around creating platforms that expose young entrepreneurs, professionals to new markets, to new ideas, and to new networks, possibly to new opportunities as well. Our work literally surrounds small businesses and everything which is youth development. And that's tonight's conversation. And that's what we want to make relevant. China represents one of the largest, world's most significant economic markets. And for the young African entrepreneurs who understand the importance of engagement, this is a platform that we have created to communicate, build relationships across cultures, which is increasingly becoming very important. So tonight is not simply about doing business with China, it's also about understanding how to do business effectively across cultures. But obviously, I'm not here to deliver the information. I'd like to welcome Charli, who's going to guide us through the conversations. And we're incredibly privileged to have someone with a very strong, unique perspective and who's agreed to be our speaker tonight. Charli brings an Africa and China a melody to the conversations today as a strategist and brings an important intersection of perspectives to the conversations we will have around Africa-China relationships, business strategies, and cultural intelligence. So I'm looking forward to hear from you, Charli, and I'm sure everybody on the call as well is very excited. So I'm going to hand over to you to introduce yourself and obviously to take us through your presentation tonight. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, organizers. I am not able to turn on my camera right now. I wonder if anyone can help me with that. And if you can hear me okay. So basically, it says only select participants can share video.
Charlie, so where your camera is there like a stroke? Just look where
Yeah.
mic is, just next to mic. So click on the camera. So click
Yeah, it
on,
says only select participants can share video. I think it's because the speaker link was not working for me, so I joined
yeah.
as a
So
participant.
so maybe turn on your camera
I'll
if
sort it
that's
My
out,
okay.
guys.
camera's
Don't worry.
on.
Yeah, and then
Sorry about that.
NJ, yeah,
It's
and
you
then
sorted.
everybody can see.
For now, as we are sorting out the tech issues, I'd like to invite everyone to introduce themselves in the chat. I'd love to hear where you're from and are you currently doing business with China or do you plan to do business with China? Are you planning to sell to China or buy from China? I would love to learn some insights from our audience so I can also tailor my talk today.
If you all heard Charlie, please give us a thumbs up. Just to reiterate what she's asked, you can go on the chat. You're more than welcome to let her know who you are, where you are joining us from, and any interest in the topic tonight and how far would you like to build that relationship. There's the beautiful Charlie. Thank you so much for turning on your camera. But then, yeah, so
Thank you everyone for your patience and thank you Chair and also the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industry Youth Commission for having me tonight. So good evening everyone if you are joining from this time zone. Otherwise, good day nonetheless. So are we ready? So let me start with a question. How many of you have thought about doing business with China, but you didn't know where to start? You can raise your hand. You can say something in the comments, in the chat. I'd love to see that.
And for you can go ahead. Then it's Allah afterwards.
Sorry, what did you say?
Sorry, Charlie. I'm just reading the individuals' hands that are raised. So I think it's Penafo is the first person. Then it's Ala Muhammad Ali is the second person. So you can unmute yourself and you can answer Charlie's questions.
Yes, please tell us what kind of business you're doing. Very quickly, are you currently doing business with China and what kind of products? Thank you. Ala, do you want to go first and then Penafo?
Hi, Charlie. I would love to understand the relationship between China and Africa regarding industrialization. I know China has a lot of relationship in Africa regarding either infrastructure, manufacturing. It's a big topic. Love to hear your perspective regarding it. I am also a small business owner, and I never had a relationship with China and would love to start. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you so much for joining, Ala. Well noted. And Penafo, would you like to go next? We cannot hear you, or is it just me?
Also, my end, we can't hear. Penafo, if you're struggling, maybe you should rejoin the link, exit and rejoin the meeting. All right.
Great. Maybe I will just go on.
Yes, you can definitely go on, but I just want to also introduce Zweletu, who's our membership manager, who runs our membership portfolio at the JCCI Youth Commission. He's going to be assisting in moderating, so he's also going to be assisting, especially with the reading of any of the comments that have been typed on the chat. If anyone wants to actually ask questions and they don't want to actually communicate verbally, they're most welcome to be able to actually type their messages and questions on the chat.
Thank you, Nongjabulo. Okay, so everyone, we're back. So I was saying that how many of you have thought about doing business with China but didn't know where to start? And if that is you, you're in the right place. So tonight, I want to show you that doing business with China is much easier than most people think. I will give you a real practical plan, how to find opportunities, avoid common mistakes, and build trusting relationships with your Chinese partners and suppliers. Sorry. I don't see myself anymore. Okay, anyway, so let me quickly tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Charli Zhang. I was born and raised in China, and then I work as an Africa-China strategist. That means two things. I help small business to find suppliers and deal with China with confidence. And I advise bigger companies and institutions on how to manage relationships and government engagement between Africa and China. So my life has taken me across 3 continents, Asia, Europe, and Africa. I was born and raised in China. I did my first degree, bachelor's degree, in the Netherlands. I worked on international projects with the Dutch government and the European Union. I spent over 2 years in Egypt building my own businesses. After the pandemic, I moved to South Africa. I did my master's at UCT, the University of Cape Town, and now I'm doing my PhD at UJ, University of Johannesburg. I am researching on South Africa-China strategic partnerships. So wherever I go, one question keeps coming up. Across my work, I want to ask myself and everyone, how can African businesses build successful long-term partnerships with China and their Chinese partners? So this is the question that I will try to answer tonight. So when you hear that China is South Africa's biggest trading partner, it sounds very impressive. But if you are a young entrepreneur here in Johannesburg, trying to start your own brand or source products from China to sell in South Africa, it can feel like standing outside a locked gate. You are thinking, where do I even start? Who can I trust? Am I going to lose my money? So if that is how you feel, you're not alone. I hear that often. So you're in the right room right now. So today we're going to skip the generic advice. We're going to talk about how to navigate all these opportunities and how to physically get to China, how to go to those fairs and build trusting relationships with your potential Chinese partners. So first, to do business, to do well business with China, you need to understand things have changed. Things have changed a lot. So 5 years ago, trading with China usually meant buying cheap, ready-made products off a website. It's probably Alibaba. And today, China is one of the most advanced places in the world, if not the number one, for technology and innovation. So look at what's happening in South Africa right now. In the solar and backup power space, entrepreneurs are not just buying solar panels anymore. They are directly partnering up with top battery and inverter makers who are changing the world to green energy transition. And in retail and online shopping, business owners are working directly with factories to build their own branded products instead of just reselling other people's products. So in farming and manufacturing and also agriculture, access to specialized machines, they are letting small business to do the work that used to need a lot of big corporate money. So, but here's what people are missing out on. So this is where it gets interesting for you. China as a country and Chinese businesses and companies and individuals are actively trying to work with Africa and Africans and African businesses. 2026 is marked by the Chinese government as the China-Africa year of people-to-people exchange. So it is easier for Africans to travel to China. And to also, a big news is that Chinese government also started the zero tariff policy for the African countries. So African countries and African companies, businesses can sell to China without any tariff. So that is a great opportunity. But obviously, for a young entrepreneur, you probably need a big company to help you navigate the market entry strategies and the regulations. So I think today we should focus on how you can go to China, attend those trade fairs, and how you can source products from China so you can sell in South Africa. There are many opportunities, right? So the first myth is that China is not one market. The reality is China is full of regional hubs. They are specializing in different products and they have their own ecosystem. So you first have to identify what kind of products you're looking for so that you can go directly to that region. So southern China, for example, Guangdong province, Shenzhen, you hear the Silicon Valley of Asia, right? So Shenzhen is the factory. I mean, Guangdong province is the factory of the world. So Shenzhen is famous for their electronics, smartphones, drones, and hardware startups. This is where the world's tech gets built. And then we have Guangzhou, the capital city of Guangdong province. They're famous for their clothing, fashion, car parts, and home to the very famous Canton Fair, which happens twice in a year. It's the biggest fair in the whole world, and it's free to attend, actually. You have to check it out. It's actually in October, 15th of October. And Foshan is famous for furniture. You see a lot of videos, a lot of reels on Instagram or TikTok. It's all Foshan furniture. So furniture, tiles, building materials, and bathroom fittings. Zhongshan is for lighting, LED products, and home appliances. Dongguan is for plastic parts and toys. Yiwu is very, very famous. It is in Zhejiang province. And but they work closely with the southern buying route. So it's famous for small gifts, party items, and jewelry. A lot of things that you buy from dollar shops here or any small stuff that you find anywhere in the world, they are made in Yiwu. And another part is eastern part of China. So this is China's wealthiest region. Shanghai is the financial capital of China. So it's famous for their finance, high-tech, medical tech, so medical equipment, and it is also China's biggest port. And the China International Industry Fair takes place there every year. Ningbo is famous for hardware, tools, car parts, and massive deep water port. Suzhou, famous for manufacturing, industrial parks, medical tools, electronic assembly. Hangzhou is where Alibaba is. It's famous for its online retail capital. If you want to understand how Chinese brands sell online, you should go there and network. And then we have Hefei and Changzhou. And then we have the northern hubs, Tianjin, Qingdao. That is for heavy industry, chemicals, shipping ports, and then Qingdao is for textiles. But don't worry, you can easily find this information online, or you can connect with me in the end. So let's move to the next part, how to get to China. It is not hard. So people think, okay, China is too far away from South Africa. It's very expensive to go, but it's not. You can fly from Johannesburg to Shanghai to Guangzhou. You can also transit in Singapore. You can transit in Doha. You can transit in Addis Ababa and in Cairo. So there are many options. And if you plan ahead, it should be cheaper. So for South Africans, if you want to visit China for business, you need M visa, the business visa, or you need a tourist visa if you're not actively engaging in business. directly. So it just takes 7 to 14 working days. You just need a valid passport with 6 months left, photos and proof of address, and your plan there. But you need invitation letter from a Chinese company or a trade fair. But that is easy to get. For example, you can register for the Canton Fair online as a buyer, and then you can request an official invitation letter from the organizers. So it is very, very easy. So then you just go to the embassy or consulate and make an appointment. I'm sure you can do it online to make an appointment as well. So the M visa usually gives you 30 to 90 days per visit. And it works for multiple trips over 6 months to a year. So that is a lot of time and opportunities for you to visit China and build relationships. So pick your event. So it's not just Canton Fair. Canton Fair is very big, like I said, in Guangzhou twice a year. So this time it's happening on 15th of October to 4th of November. So it's split into 3 phases. Phase 1 is electronics and machinery. Phase 2 is consumer goods, building materials and furniture. Phase 3 is clothing, food, and medical products. It is the world's largest trade fair. Over 1.2 million square meters. So this year is its seventh anniversary. And for the first time ever, they even held a promotional event at the African Union headquarters in Addis. So that is how important they see that African partners are. So there's Yiwu Fair in October, so you have to check it out for small everyday items, gifts, toys, and hardware. So you don't have to buy a lot because the minimum order quantity is actually very, very small. So you don't have to buy in huge bulks. So it's actually very accessible. And then there's the China High Tech Fair, which is in Shenzhen, the Silicon Valley of Asia, or it's taking over Silicon Valley in some ways. So it happens in November. So you should check it out if you're into tech, electronics, and smart devices. And then it's the China International Furniture Fair. Just remember those names and you can Google this later. And China International Beauty Expo with cosmetics, skincare, hair care, wellness products. And East China Fair also. So my advice is do your market research in South Africa to see where you're most passionate about and also where you have the least competition, but you know what your heart wants. And then the budget. So for like the return flights from Johannesburg to Guangzhou or Shanghai is probably like 15K to 28K in Rand. And a hotel could be 1,000 Rand a night. And then food and transport, they're extremely cheap. And you just need you need to get your WeChat, you need to get your Alipay. So in China, everyone pays with their phone. No one's using their credit card. So you have to make sure you have WeChat. And you probably need to find Chinese people here in South Africa to help you verify so you can set up your WeChat. And then you just link it to your bank cards. So then you are all set. And everything is with apps. You can order Uber, Chinese version of Uber, and delivery, super convenient. And also, that's also how you build any relationship with China. You immediately add WeChat and you send greetings all the time, every festival, every holiday. Okay, so then let's have a quick imagining your 10-day roadmap in China. So you arrive there, for example, you arrive to Guangzhou, let's say Guangzhou, and then you buy a local SIM card at the airport, China Mobile, China Unicom, and you download WeChat, Alipay, Didi, and before you leave South Africa, so that you don't have to waste your data. But Wi-Fi is also everywhere. You should just ask for Wi-Fi. It's pretty safe and it's always free, and people are connecting Wi-Fi everywhere. You don't have to pay extra for that. It's not weird. And then walk around, let's say you're at the Canton Fair, walk around the fair, add everyone on WeChat, don't buy anything yet because you have all the time, even when you're back. in South Africa to make the connection, to bargain, to negotiate, right? And then you make a short list, you deep dive, and then maybe the fourth day you can set up an appointment with someone. You visit their factory, so you can actually check how they're manufacturing things, if it's clean, if it's hygienic, if it's standardized, if they are trustworthy. And then you should get some samples to have quality control. And the standard is normally like 30% of the deposit, 70% before shipping. That is the payment terms. So always check the products before shipping, because you never know the standard or quality, because different batch has different quality, right? And then you should definitely say yes to the dinner invitations, because that's how we build relationships in China. So when we want to make a deal with someone, when we want to do business with someone, we eat, we go have dinner, and we will be talking about everything, but not too much business. So do not rush. You have to make sure that they trust you. You're not a scammer. So you have to say yes, and talk about family, talk about friends. Always bring gifts. Always bring gifts from South Africa, so that they think this person understands Chinese culture, and this person is, willing to make friends first. Let's see what else. So 关系 is a very key concept in China. 关系 means connections, means contacts. So like I said, trust in China builds over time. So that means, when there's a festival, ask about people's plans, wish them, happy Mid-Autumn Festival, for example. So some tips: go slow before you go fast. Your first meeting or email is not about closing the deal immediately. It's about, like I said, earning trust, earning respect. When you visit the factory, spend time on small talks. Ask about their city, ask about their favorite food, ask about their kids, how long they've been in business, And then the second is very important: protect people's pride. So in China, this is called 面子. So literally it means protecting the face. So when you negotiate, I mean, it is business, but always be polite. Always consider people's feelings. Don't ever push people in a corner or embarrass them in public. Always give compliments. Always be curious. Always ask polite questions. So, and also sometimes you need to negotiate one-on-one instead of doing it in front of their colleagues. You are more likely to get a better deal. And then the number 3 is also something I mentioned before. Keep talking, keep checking in with people. WeChat actually automatically can do the automatic translation, so it's very, very convenient. So you can just text English, and it will be people can do translate, and it will be in Chinese. So always give greetings, holiday greetings. And another tip: so when you are at a business meal, or your potential seller or buyer is inviting you to a meal, you should stand and wait until the host sits down, then you sit. That's showing respect. And also the host is always ordering the food. They will ask you what you want to eat, and then I think you should just say, please order for me, and then you can just tell them what you don't eat. But in China, we don't like to say no. So maybe you will just find a subtle way to not eat what you don't want to eat. And sometimes you should just try new foods anyway. So action plan. So I have this acronym, China. C is for clarity. Be extremely clear about what you want. A vague description guarantees factory mistakes, because if you want to customize something, be very specific about all the specs. Write one-page bullet point sheet with sizes, materials, colors, packaging rules, because things will get lost in translation, right? H is for hot. Go straight to the right regional hub for a specific product. Don't waste time in the wrong city. I is for investigate. Always check your supplier, look at their business license, Google them, search their name on Chinese business registries, and you can check that online. You can even get an independent factory check from some authorities. And N is for negotiate fairly. You should set up terms so the supplier also wins when they meet your quality standards. Don't think that it has to be cheap, 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 because at the end of the day, that's a myth, because Chinese products are now having amazing quality and amazing specs and amazing technology. It's cheaper because they produce at mass, and also they have their local ecosystems. So each region or each city, each town is focusing on one type of product. That's why they can make it so much cheaper, right? And A is for assets. So have your goods checked before they ship. Use even a third-party inspection company. And there are actually already many South African or African people in general, business people in general, their business is exactly helping business owners back on the continent to do the quality checks before they are being shipped. So get in touch with them or ask me in the future. So there are two websites you can still use, Alibaba and 1688 or 1688. So you can check out this website. I don't want us to run out of time, so I might hurry up with my talk. So yeah, and also you should reach out to multiple suppliers and compare their prices, and also make sure that they are legit. Right? And you should request samples. They might be able to ship you the samples first before they ship the whole bunch that you are ordering. And also, please feel free to ask questions in the chat box for now. So,
Sorry, Charlie.
So my work in yes, you are saying something? Or can I hear you somehow? Yeah. Okay.
We do have a few questions on the chat, but I'll hand over to Zwelethu so that he can moderate this section, and then maybe you can answer the questions before we proceed any further.
Sure. I will finish in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so China is more open than ever, and China is more welcoming than ever. And in China, there's a lot of products available, and the manufacturing capacity is probably top one in the world, right? So Chinese businesses want to sell. So that's a great opportunity for African buyers to go and to source your products. So start small, but start as young professionals. This is the best time to start your business with China, to go to China, to source from China. So make a trip. Try to attend the Guangzhou fair. You don't have to buy anything. You can attend for free, right? And start building relationships with Chinese business people here in South Africa, and also they very likely that they already have their own partners in China, and they are willing to make the introduction because their business might also benefit from that. So yeah, start now. Start going to, for example, Rivonia, the Chinese restaurants, the Chinatown in Saradine. There are so many ways to start. And yeah, I will also share my contact details in the chat, or my email, Nomjabulo can share with everyone. So thank you for joining today and for hearing me. And I'd love to hear some questions. I'm not sure if I am able to answer all the questions because there's a lot to talk about, but I will definitely brainstorm with you. Thank you. So back to you, the chair. And feel free to turn your camera on, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Charlie, for that presentation. It was very insightful and detailed. I'd like to hand over to everyone. If you have a question, please raise your hand and then we'll call upon you to ask your question, or please put your question into the chat. I think in the meantime, while people are writing down their questions, Charlie, I'd like to ask you, in terms as an importer, when I'm importing from China, and I want to make sure that I'm legally protected in case something goes wrong, how do I address making sure that I have contractual or legal protections against an importer or a supplier that may do something that's harmful to me?
That is a great question. Thank you for this question. So there are actually many law firms or legal service for such things. So I can also recommend some. I just don't want to say out loud because they're not paying me and I don't want to vouch for them. But I do know several based in South Africa as well. And also, like I said, it's always best if you go physically by yourself to China or with your partners to attend the fairs. The ones who made into the fair, like the sellers, the stands at the Canton Fair, for example, um, they went through background checks, but obviously still need to go to their factories to do your quality control. Yeah, hope that helps.
Okay. While we wait for someone to raise their hand, I also wanted to find out, in terms of making payments to China, what is the safest? So, for example, you said 30, 70% payments. What are the safest payment methods that you often find that people use when they're paying importers?
Yeah, so I would say definitely you need to sign um, contracts first, and you need to hopefully find a legal service to be your witness, um, to sign as well, and they can hold this other the seller accountable, and depends on the amount that you are paying as well. For example, it's very, very common that people pay on WeChat. You just add each other as contacts, which hopefully you've already done that the first time you meet. And then people are transferring money on WeChat. So you can load money from your South African bank account to WeChat and then transfer that money. But so the transfer history on WeChat is protected by law in China also. So you just need to make sure that you have that contract also. So the deposit and the follow-up payment, everything's written down, and there's a law firm or legal service to back you up.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. I'm just waiting for someone to raise their hand. Feel free to go ahead and raise your hand or to put your question in the chat. But in the meantime, I also wanted to find out, once I've secured a product, I've gone to the fair, I've picked a product that I want to import into South Africa, or let's say I'm in Namibia, Mauritius, Botswana, or Egypt. How do I secure exclusive distribution rights? Is that something I'm allowed to do? Is that something I'm able to do?
So, I think, so, I think, so, I think, so, 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 I it would be very expensive if you want the exclusive distribution rights, because the Chinese suppliers, they normally produce a lot of products, and they have many resellers and partners who are selling abroad, who are buying from them. So if you are buying something, customized, then definitely have your own brand. You should also build your own brand in South Africa, right? So not just you are buying from China, source from China. It is strategic and smart and profitable to have your own brand. Um, I think, in this day and age, it's always about building your own brand in the end, because if you have an identical product on the market, for example, you go to Takealot, there are so many products with no clear brand, then obviously you're going to choose probably the cheapest one or the one with the most reviews or the highest reviews. And these are arbitrary. So yeah, I think definitely it's a time for the young entrepreneurs to utilize TikTok and Instagram and build your own brand and manufacture in China, source from China. Even if those products are relatively identifiable, you can still distinguish yourself by building your own brand. That's what I believe in. Thank you.
Okay, that's amazing. We have a question in the chat from Ala Muhammad Ali. The person is asking, the first question, is Alibaba a good start? Um, and I know they have minimum amount for purchases. Also, the quality check is difficult regarding starting online versus visiting China. So I think essentially the question is, the person wants to start by procuring via Alibaba. They want to know if that's a good platform to use. They want to also know, how do they actually check the quality of a product if it's listed on Alibaba to start importing? I think that's a good and important question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ala, for this great question. So there's Alibaba, there's also the one 1688.com, 1688.com. That's also a good one. So I would say it is a risk that you have to take, and probably you should start with buying some samples, and also try to communicate with the seller if you can buy a smaller quantity and maybe higher price per unit, but actually in total it's actually cheaper than the minimum. I think it depends on how you negotiate that, and then be specific that you are intending to buy a lot from them, and because you have this business in South Africa, for example. So there are always risks, and you have to definitely compare. And like I said, try to negotiate with the seller. These are some of my ideas for now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. I think the next question I would also want to understand is around, when you're choosing to import, what are the warning signs sometimes to know that a supplier is unreliable? Sometimes there are these little red flags that we may pick up. What were the red flags that you would say to people they must be aware of before choosing a supplier?
That is a great question, because I think a lot of things always get lost in translation, and also different cultures and different business cultures. So it's probably difficult for young entrepreneurs to navigate, especially from South Africa. That's very different culture. Um, so you should never pay upfront. You should um, try to go to China, try to go to these fairs, and yeah, take time to fish them out and visit their factory, or get someone to visit the factory for you. Um, so if they're too pushy with the payment super fast, and also, like, for example, it's personal bank account, not something that is like a company account, um, that is not very standard. And also, if it's way too cheap, that's also weird. Because now people, like the industry has been standardized, and if this product is way too cheap than other products, then that is something fishy about it. So yeah, I think you should always know a rule of thumb is to build relationship slowly and try to go to China to those fairs. And there are so many other ways for you to go to China as young entrepreneurs. So not only that you need to sponsor yourself, but maybe there are some other opportunities. Maybe go apply for a scholarship or learn Chinese. There are also other conferences you can apply to. Maybe you are studying at a university here, or maybe you are doing your master's, like you've been working and you are doing your master's part-time. Maybe your university already has a lot of collaborations with China, so you can go there as exchange student or just go on a trip. I see at UJ there are so many opportunities for UJ students going to China for free. Everything's covered. The Chinese government is paying for that. So in those trips, you can also go ask around, go to the fairs, go to the shops, go to the stores, and communicate with people that you want to buy products from China. And like I said, add people on WeChat, and then everything's automatic, like translated. It's There are so many opportunities, really. Like, don't let the flight price be something that stops you. There are other ways for you to also go to China. Yeah.
Thanks. And I think another thing maybe we should discuss is sourcing agents. Are sourcing agents something we should use? Should we try and find them? Do they help? Is it a better way of trying to enter the market to find suppliers?
Yes. I actually know many African contacts who they basically live in China. Maybe they're studying. They're also on the side. They have their own very established business where they just help business people back home to go to these factories, go to where they sell furniture and do all this quality control. So I would say, yeah, you have to fish out them. And also, a lot of them, they have Instagram or TikTok, and they are very famous. They have a lot of followers. And yeah, I think it's just like how we uh, build relationships in daily life anyway. You have to take time and yeah, but definitely, I think sourcing agents would be a very easy and doable option to start.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a reminder, if we still have this opportunity, you can raise your hand and ask a question or put a question in the chat. And also, Charlie's email is now in the chat as well, so that you can take that down. So, a key recommendation of yours is to start with, getting WeChat, as that's the main platform of communication. Um, and what is another communication tip that you would give? Is email a good platform? Um, or just maybe just focusing on WeChat and getting that downloaded?
Um, Chinese people like to use WeChat and they don't like to read emails. And WeChat is more personal. It's easier to build relationships. Obviously, so WeChat, you can also send documents on WeChat. Yeah, so definitely get WeChat. You can still do email, but expect much longer reply time. Um, Also, like many Chinese factories, they're on Instagram and TikTok. So you can also search there. And but don't just see, oh, they have a lot of followers, they must be legit. But you should also go Google them, obviously, right? Do research. And maybe also they are a bit more expensive than the less famous ones. Um, so yeah, definitely, definitely get WeChat. Yes.
And I wonder, certain times when we're importing, let's say you're a larger, more established business in the industrial or manufacturing sector, and you want to import a piece of large equipment from China. Do you know anything about the types of financing, let's say letters of credit, that are available to people from their banks? to import large, more expensive pieces of equipment from China?
Are you talking about like in South Africa when people, for example, want to buy some large equipment from China, like how they can get like credit
Yes.
from South African banks?
From South African banks or financial institutions that help to finance trade between the two countries.
I have to say this, I am not very sure because I normally help already established companies with, identifying suppliers, and they normally don't need any credit. Um, and then also the smaller entrepreneurs, then I help them to go to China to connect them to the right agents or the right factories. So I don't know the answer to that question specifically.
Right. Madam Chair, your hand is up.
Thanks, Zoletu. So I just want to come in there. So what we used to do at when I was still working at the corporate and investment banking, in this kind of instance, they would find a liaison bank for example, a Bank of China, right? They would actually, so I'll use ABSA for example in this instance. ABSA will then write that letter of credit, and then the Bank of China would be the one that is going to guarantee it. You see, so the banks would work together. But of course, you'd need to have a relationship as the customer with the Bank of China, right? So that they would be able to see, because when they're facilitating the transaction, the bank from South Africa is not going to just work with any bank. And it works best sometimes if the bank that is South African has a office, a satellite office in that country. So if they don't, then they would work with these big names like the Bank of China. So when I was still working in the bank, that's what we would do in terms of these type of transactions to try and facilitate those type of payments.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And Charlie, I think one last question. From your observation, where are people succeeding? Where have you seen that with the entrepreneurs, the startup businesses, the small businesses that you've worked with in Africa, in South Africa? Where are people finding success in terms of what they're importing and selling into the African market? Where would you say that you've seen people have success, and what would you encourage people to go into?
Thank you. This is a very everyone is asking this question. So when you go to Take-A-Lot, when I go to Take-A-Lot, I see a lot of products. To be honest, those products are so relatively a little bit basic, a little bit basic. When you go to, for example, Taobao, the Chinese equivalent of Take-A-Lot, you're amazed. How is it possible there are so many different variations of one thing? And all these functions and all these colors, patterns, all this, it's just incredible. So there are so many opportunities. There are so many things you can sell. Don't think as young entrepreneurs, since I'm talking to the youth commission, don't think about solar panel. That's very expensive. If you can leverage the funds, great, do that. But maybe you should think about humidifier. You should think about small products. Maybe I cannot think of anything immediately right now, but yeah, there are so many small products that you can source from China, and you'll be able to make a lot of profit because there are just so many products in China, and there's just not many variations on Take-A-Lot. I don't see them. So I have many friends who successfully built a very profitable business just selling one little thing that I'm not gonna specify because they will hate me if I create more competitors for them. But think small things, yes.
Okay. And I think the general tip is that you should go look at the websites, look at the products that are available, attend the fairs, go on the websites, try and find a niche product market, and maybe then build your own social media brand, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then list a product on Takealot and try and sell that from a reliable importer. And then maybe that's the pathway to success.
That's a great summary. Thank you so much. And also take it slow with, building relationship. And think of it like not just transactional, but you're actually trying to build a long-lasting, sustainable, trusting partnership, because you can do this business and you can expand your product line for the decades to come, right? So, and also maybe this person that you are buying from, maybe they're relatives, their friends have other products they will introduce you to. So think of it, focus on building relationships. Yeah.
Okay. I think that that's quite critical. I think e-commerce is quite the pathway for a young entrepreneur to start in terms of sales and distribution, and also making sure that their digital marketing is done correctly and accurately. I think I'll give just another moment for someone to raise their hand and ask a question. I know we have a few people from a lot of different sectors who are interested in doing business with China. They're quite pleased and happy about the different pieces of advice you've given us. I think it's given us sort of a roadmap and a pathway. And definitely, I encourage everyone to keep in contact with you as they go and they try. But the one question that I would ask is maybe a reverse question. Is there an opportunity if I'm an African manufacturer or a South African manufacturer to sell into China? How do I do that?
So I would say you have to identify what can you sell to China that China doesn't have. So rooibos, yes, wine, but then wine, Chinese people are buying French wine, to be honest. So I think like just if you're trying to sell wine, you have to build your brand first. Why people are not buying French wine or cheaper, I don't know, cheaper wine from elsewhere, but they're buying South African wine, because South African wine in China is a very new concept, right? So you have to find something um, that can sell in China. And then you have to figure out the market entry regulations and strategies. And I think it's easier if you partner up with a Chinese business person, and you have to convince them that this product is so special, and there will be a good profit margin, and there will be a good, like, there is a great need uh, in the Chinese market. I think if we're speaking with young entrepreneurs who are starting all of this from scratch, I would say you need to first know more about China, the Chinese market, if you want to sell to China instead of just buying from China. And also maybe get internships or work for South African companies who are already selling to China. So then you can also build your industry knowledge and networks from there.
Okay. Is there a South Africa China Chamber of Commerce or organization like that that people can possibly join or get in contact with? I know maybe perhaps the DTIC, the Department of Trade, Commerce and Industry, would have something as well. Do you know of any of those types of programs or organizations?
So I know the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in South Africa, and obviously these are the Chinese business people. They might have South African nationality or permanent residency, the green card, and they've been trading between China and South Africa. So yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch with me, I can also invite you to their events. But I don't think the South African government or Chinese government, they have any organizations that's open to small businesses for now, like in terms of like South Africa and China trade, because it's hard to regulate and to do the background checks on everyone. That's my assumption, like of the reason why there's no government um, supported organization. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Charlie. I think we found this all very insightful. It was very in depth. It gave us a good roadmap. It taught us cultural nuances. It gave us ideas about how to build relationships, build trust, communicate, and also understand Chinese culture and also doing business with Chinese people. And I think everyone who was on the session benefited as well. This session will be posted on YouTube afterwards. And I hope that people can revisit it. I also hope they take your email and do get in contact with you so that they can get more advice and guidance. I'll hand over to our chair lady just to give us some closing and end the session. Thank you very much.
Thanks as well, to Charlie, this was amazing. I think um, I'm glad that you were giving us the opportunity also to just share your contact details so that people can contact you directly, so that you can be able to then tell them more about the services that you offer. I think ideally, a lot of people, are reluctant to try and actually get into business of going and visiting China and looking at the opportunities there. So having people of your caliber and your expertise to come in and show that you can assist in these kind of situations in terms of giving the introductions that are needed because you are well connected. I mean, yes, you're based in SA now, but you still have so many relationships that people can leverage off in China. And so by you coming and having this conversation with us was very insightful, as Weletu just mentioned. And I'm just glad that we got the opportunity, and we want to say thank you once again. So I want to just encourage everybody on this webinar to just please contact Charlie for her services. I mean, the amazing work that she can be able to assist you when it comes to facilitating and possibly introducing you to the relevant people for your business and to try and actually grow your business. So Charlie, thank you, thank you. We can't say thank you enough as the Chamber of Commerce, as the Youth Commission.
I was wondering, Nomja Bulo, thank you so much for your kind words, and thank you all for being here with me and listening and engaging. I want to encourage everyone to go to China, even just for tourism purpose or study the language or enjoy the food, enjoy the culture. Chinese people are very, very welcoming. My WeChat handle, you have to email me so I can send it to you. I don't even. It's hard to say it. Yeah, because this will be put on YouTube. Then everyone will be adding me. Anyway, so I wanted to say, Nongja Bulo, you went to China, so maybe you want to share also quickly, how was it like for you? How did you get the opportunity, if you want to?
No, definitely. I mean, for me, I think the one thing I always actually say to people is, I think it was fascinating for me. I mean, we went to Beijing and we went to Tianjin. Yes. Um, and I think one thing that actually struck me was the construction. They were building, busy renovating the highway, right, in terms of construction. And normally in South Africa, you'd have a person, waving the flag to say the vehicles. They had a robot. I'm like, guys, wow, wait. I was like, look at this innovation. So I was just taken by the innovation within the country. I think China is not making a lot of noise when it comes to how amazing the country is, the people, how kind they are. Um, and of course, the opportunities. I mean, we were able to, yes, go to, I think it was the engineering, it was the school, one of the best schools of engineering in Tianjin. I just forgot the name of the university and the innovative things they are doing in that institution. For me, it was just mind blowing just looking at how the country is. The other part is how clean. I mean, I was there for an entire week. I did not even come across one person who was begging on the street. That for me was just mind blowing. But then it makes sense when the lecturer was telling us that currently China is the leading country when it comes to people. I mean, I think what people in China minimum earn about $2 a day, and they live on $2 a day, and that is even way above the poverty, benchmark when it comes to world statistics. So I think what the Chinese government has managed to do for the Chinese people in terms of innovation and trying to um, create an economy that is inclusive. I think that's the one thing that blew my mind, how they were able to, I think, establish, 56,000, something so ridiculous as 56,000 kilometers of road that they've established to try and connect all the villages into the city, so these individuals in the villages can be able to transport their their fresh produce into the city so that they can sell and be able to actually feed themselves and make money and so forth. So for me, that is just amazing, because it just shows how China has taken to heart in terms of the importance of ensuring that, even though I'm going to quote the economist that had engaged us 2 weeks ago at the Youth Commission at the JCCI, saying that, would you rather be poor in a poor country, or would you rather be poor in a rich country? And when I saw that in China, it really made a difference, because a poor person in a third world country like South Africa is not going to live the same life or quality of life in a country like China. So for me, that was mind blowing in terms of looking at the quality of life, that yes, there might be a disparity in terms of the rich and poor, but when it comes to quality of life, I mean, I think the Chinese government needs to has done commendable work in terms of how they've been supporting their citizens. So I had an amazing time. Trust. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And like you were saying, Charlie, there's a lot of opportunities. Even in the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industry, there are a lot of opportunities that they offer, working with the likes of China Aid, the China Embassy, where there's opportunities for people to go and actually do training and learn skills development, which is one of the courses I did last year in terms of my business. It was a skills development training course, ideally for business in terms of vocational learning. And there's so many opportunities so for you to be able to just expand your horizon. So please, guys, take those opportunities and run with them, because they are there for you. And just like Charlie's saying, I'm echoing the very sentiments around visiting the place gives a very different experience versus you sitting on Google and reading.
Thank you so much for sharing, Namjabulo, and thank you everyone. I don't have anything else to say. Oh, I wanted to add the average national
Mhm.
average income in China in a day, in rand, I just checked,
Mhm.
it is around 500 rand to the highest could be 2,000 rand a day. The lowest could be 300 rand, but the average is
Yeah,
500 to 800 rand a day. Yeah,
that
and
is
also
amazing.
living, yeah, price of living is very cheap in China. Food is very cheap, and hospital is very cheap, which is really, really amazing. Yeah, and education is also free until university, I think. Yeah. So
Mm.
maybe people want to go there to do a master's, and there are so many opportunities for African scholars as well. So I just love the people to people exchange. I love when people travel and visit, and then you really learn more about the country and find also business opportunities and career opportunities. So yeah, thank you for this great opportunity for me to share my insights and passion with everyone. Thank you, and please reach out and find me on LinkedIn, for example.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, we will post your LinkedIn profile on the group so that people can be able to connect with you if they're not able to actually connect with you via email. Thank you once again, Charlie. Please enjoy the rest of the evening, everyone, and good night.
Bye. Thank you.